All right, welcome back. If you're new here, where you been? If you've seen us before, it's been a little while, but we're trying to get back in the swing of things here now that summertime vacations and school started back up. So got a little more time on our hands. Deer season's kicking off here in Pennsylvania, New York. So we're gonna try to be a little more regular with this stuff going forward. But for today, we want to give a quick recap of what turned out to be a wasted week in Colorado elk hunting, and then kind of dive into some early season archery stuff here for whitetail. So I'll let you guys take it from there.
I think we
Yeah,
should start off first with talking about Andrew's new house and check out that new trophy room he's got.
Yeah, we're
It's
building
looking good.
looking good.
a lot of space left to fill.
Yeah, I always
Uh,
like to say that there's no wasted week in Colorado. I mean, it's discouraging to have a week like that for sure. With the weather not cooperating and the pressure being so great, and just you know, elk pretty much nocturnal. I believe so much sign. The most sign we've ever seen. We did see some elk, but I mean, it was early morning, or they were diving deep in steep canyons. The pressure just, I think, took over out there.
we saw what 8 combined with 7 days in
Yes,
the woods for 6 guys.
yeah. We put a lot of miles on this year. It was the most mileage I've ever put on. Most bugling I've ever heard. That was the benefit of the second week, but herd elk, they're not going to come rushing in on a bugle. They just hide their cows out and hang out. Not too many satellite bulls. Sound like mostly herd bulls to me. They just no movement with bugling every morning. I mean, I heard bugling all but one day, I believe. Active wallows, a lot of activity, watering holes, but I mean, it had to be nocturnal. I mean, instead of a full day in a wallow, it's had a half day on a big watering hole, lots of fresh tracks on it. From every species you can imagine, mule deer, turkey. We'd hear them coming in, some sort of animals coming in right before dark. I think they just waited too much pressure. Guys had blinds built up, and you could tell the pressure was very apparent out there this year.
You didn't hear any bugling during the day, just mostly in the morning and
Yeah, I
late
mean,
night, right?
hour and a half of daylight, and then gone. 3, 4 in the morning. We heard it at camp, heard it driving out. Getting out, getting ready to go, and first hour and a half of daylight maybe, then just stopped. But I mean, we dived deep into canyons looking for these bugles, and I mean, some of the stuff was impassable, or just you don't want to pack out of these situations. So
It goes to us.
yeah,
And Doug
yeah,
had that one going with us that one morning up on that ridge top, but he just
yeah.
went
That's
quiet on us.
well, and then its escape route is the trophy unit across street. So you really don't have what's your backup plan there. You pretty much, it either comes in or you're screwed. Like it's just no, it's just hugging unit 61 there. So
Yeah, I think that
yeah,
one that we were talking to was over in the trophy unit.
yeah. I think the lesson learned is um it's better to just even do a 2 preference point unit than to do over the counter anymore. I mean, I appreciate Colorado doing over the counter. I'm glad we have that opportunity. It's hard to spend points and just go out there willy nilly and not know what you're doing. Because even if you go to a 4-point unit, 60% success rate, you don't know what you're doing. It's not going to go well for you. It's nice to get out there and get familiarized. We had a couple of new guys this year. It's nice to get your feet wet, kind of make your mistakes now and really learn. We hard to not to hunt it like whitetail, especially for us.
Right.
So it's a lot to unlearn for us. For me, just the still hunting aspect, like you want to be on the move and try to track them down, but in whitetail you move slowly. Out there you don't need to move as slow. They're bigger animals. There's a lot of cattle and a lot of noise in the woods, so you get away with a little more brisk movement. You cover more territory and still be effective. So I think it's nice, but I think the lesson learned is if we go anywhere, we use points. Um, you know, over the counter is a last resort, or just something to get your feet wet in the you know what is elk hunting.
Agreed.
But yeah, But
It's a
thank you.
decent mule
successful,
deer
but
unit.
Oh my God, it's
yeah,
incredible,
some
man.
Great
Yeah,
mule deer there.
I'd say more than decent. I mean, I saw 7 shooters
Right.
in bow range.
I think we all could have tagged out.
Yeah,
We've been hunting mule deer.
second
For
day.
sure. For
Easily.
sure.
Second day
for
would have had a
sure.
hammer. Yeah, I mean it was wild the amount of mule deer. The quality of mule deer. I mean,
Right.
we did see some small batcher groups, real small bucks, but I really saw some hammers
Yeah.
this
You and I
year.
have seen them every year we've been out there. We've seen real
Yeah.
big bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually glassing or a distance. This is the first year I saw them consistently in bow range.
Right.
Just everywhere. Pretty much everywhere I went. It didn't really matter. Yeah, Unit
Yeah.
62 is a really good unit, especially this year for mule deer. But exciting enough, we have whitetail season coming. Yeah, New York, PA are both open. Getting some activity on our cameras. A lot of it's midday home range buck activity. Not too much chasing or anything like that. Small bucks and does, but kind of the shooter bucks we're seeing are midday, which is cool. That's a cool thing. I mean, you hear a lot about it. Doug's got a cool story. Doug and Ken there. You go ahead and tell your little story.
Yeah. We got Ken and I were out having a little sit in the morning the other day. Of course, it wasn't supposed to rain and it poured all morning. So before we cut out, we go to move the cell cam and made a mock scrape. Took a piss in it and just get back to the truck. And I left, no longer left. And Ken messaged me and said, "Hey, cell cam just went off. Had a nice shooter bucks right there sniffing the fresh mock scrape." So it was to show that definitely pissing in your scrapes this time of year brings them in.
Yeah, either that or you're our cash cow.
Hey, you want to come down here next week and do that for me?
Buy some
Well,
glass
for,
bottles.
Start bottling your piss.
For $29.99, I'll sell you an ounce of my piss.
I mean, I think people do that on the internet, but I think it's a different reason. But we
yeah,
got
that reason won't work for Doug.
Yeah, we got a niche in the market here that we can really capitalize on. Just
I'm
need to
just
come
going to
up.
sell my. I'm just going to sell my piss, not my soiled panties.
Yeah,
That'll be
just need to
available
come
on the
up with
shop.
a good label for you, Doug.
We'll just sell it on the website, right in the shop section
Yeah.
there.
Get your merch.
Yeah, I think And well, what is it? It's October 19th. Probably past 3-4 days, I've seen bucks at night. In quality bucks, rack bucks, cruising. So it's been the first I've seen a lot of nighttime activity for rack bucks. I've seen a lot of small bucks moving around, but we all know they just move around pretty much all year. But it's the first I've seen. It's about to kickstart. Usually right about Halloween. I think it's the harvest moon era is when things really that switch flips and big boys start chasing. Those start coming in season. The pre-rut activity is on. And that's the best time to be in the woods.
Sir, I'm off next week, and then hopefully it's decent activity. I've got some cameras spread all over Godspeed. I think I've got 8 or 10 out right now, and they're blowing up. But most of my stuff's morning and nighttime still. Not a whole lot of midday activity.
Really, that's unusual. That we're having two different, but we're going from private to public as well, so that might change things. You think it would be the opposite, but I think with the heavy pressure, a lot of guys exit the woods midday. So deer. I've heard a lot of stories like that. That guys exit and then the big bucks move midday. There's a cool study. I think I sent it out, Doug. I'm sure I sent it to you because it was in Pennsylvania. It was all their deer. Pre-rut and rut, they were most active midday. Like that shocked. I mean, I knew they were active midday. I heard the stories, but most active midday is news to me. And we all get that hard sit that morning. You don't see much, and you just discouraged. And all these thoughts are running through your head, like, what do I have to change? Is my wind wrong? Is it my scent, my setup? So you move or you change. And sometimes it just pays to sit tight. That's Like Doug, you guys were saying stands, but I mean that just goes to show you tried and true. You know, you could be out there making a lot of noise, making a scrape, and just BS, and then boom, 20 minutes later,
Boom.
you know, you got a nice wad. But I mean, he's out past his ears. That's it could be a 20-inch wide, 20+ wide.
Yeah, he's got a
Whitetail.
good spread.
Yeah, it's I don't know if he's just very developed, 2.5, 3-year-old, or he's a little more mature than that. It's hard to tell, but
Didn't look like he was super tall, but he was definitely wide as shit.
that's what makes
He's
me
a-
wonder if he's just young with good genetics.
Right,
'Cause
right.
he
He's
was
got a good
wide,
sized body on him.
yeah,
Yeah.
wide,
Smaller,
healthy.
smaller tines on him too.
But he didn't have that traditional age buck look. They get the
No.
gut.
Yeah.
Yeah, they start
Right.
losing their curves, and they kind of just look like a
Yeah.
brick
He looked
shit
more.
house.
He looked more stout.
He looked like a 2.5-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked like a 2.5, 3-year-old. Not like your 4 or 5-year-old just
Right.
Sherman tanks out there looking like they eating little Debbie's. That's one of the truest things I've heard is to really age a deer is just that body size they get. They stop getting that suck in curve under the front shoulders, and they're just kind of just boxy. You can see some big young deer, but it's just the frame build is different.
Right.
Yeah, it's a nice field judge, especially when you're trying to manage your herd.
But
If you
those old ones, they look real nice on the wall, but they taste like shit when you eat them.
yeah, that's the thing. Well, you got doe season for that too.
That's
you know.
true.
Well, I think was it last year or the year before we had a doe dead and canned within 3 hours or something like that. So that was real
Nope.
cool. That's a tradition I'd like to
Keep doing.
keep a hold of. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was fun. So Andrew, you're
Yeah.
gonna be in the woods all next week then? Every day?
Yes, sir, except for Sunday, since Pennsylvania's dumb and doesn't let you hunt but the one. But I just was out Wednesday night after work, and it's on the edge of a new cut they've been doing over the summer, and there's scrapes blowing up everywhere around it. So probably head over that direction.
Nice.
Yeah, I heard there's youth season this weekend. Do you have to wear orange for this? Somebody warned me Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This weekend is youth
Mhm.
rifle.
Yeah, it's the youth and senior thing, but I don't think you have to wear orange. At least I never have. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and that just might be your own personal safety thing because
Yeah, they're
It's
shooting up in the
nuts.
trees. They got more issues than me wearing orange.
Yeah, well, if you ever been in New York gun season when it was slugs, they're shooting in the trees.
They're shooting into everything.
Yeah, well, you give a guy a semi-automatic, and
Those old shotgun shooters, man.
Yeah.
There's no aim and pull the trigger
Yeah.
once. It's unload that gun.
yeah, the best thing New York did was switch to rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you think it would be worse? No, way better.
Well,
'cause
those guys across the street from us can get a little crazy still.
yeah, but it's not
They're still using the shotgun.
not repeated. Yeah, one guy does.
The one guy does, I swear to
It's
God.
not. Yeah, he
Yeah,
wears
yeah.
an upland bird vest. I mean,
Yeah.
it-
And then
if-
Full of shells.
8 shots later, you're like,
Well,
is he done? Is he
yeah,
done?
if anything says I don't fucking aim is, you got 15 slugs. Like, what are you in the world? I've never carried that much ammo. Bird hunt.
Tenderizer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, years ago, I shot a nice doe, hit a good lung shot on it, dropped, and I made the mistake of just continuing to walk. I bumped it. It was clearly going to die, huge blood trail, but it ran over the neighbors and just boom, 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 and then another set, boom, boom. And they're like, "Oh, you want it?" Well, first they argued me I didn't hit it until they could see the foot wide blood trail in the snow. But they're like, "Well, we can get it for you if you want it." And I was like, "No, that thing's 20% lead now." Yeah,
Right.
you go ahead, and keep it. Yeah, we'll get a new one.
So
Yeah.
Andrew, what's the secrets for your public land that you're hunting down there in PA? Where are you throwing stands at? You getting between food and beds, or what's the game plan for you?
Well, this year I've had to leave the area I've been in for like the last 10 years just because it's fucking overrun with people anymore. There's too many stands and cameras. It's just real
Well,
easy access.
Didn't you shoot that one guy behind you right in that spot? So
Both of those guys behind me are from that area.
That's why everybody's in there.
Yeah.
It's that guy right there.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
advertise where I hunt at, but yeah.
No, Pennsylvania is very true. People hunt people. They see
Hmm.
vehicles and they think, especially if you're repeatedly in the same area.
Yep.
I used to talk to these guys, and I was out there paranoid. They would park on a different road down the street. And they are not, and they are 100% correct. Like people that don't want to do their own scouting. I mean, I've known guys personally that will see those lighted markers
Hmm.
and they'll follow. Because they don't want to put their own work in. So,
Right.
and they say, "Oh, I figured he did this much work. He's got a reason behind it." So,
Right.
yeah,
The,
you got to be careful out there.
the time I've been out, I've only sat in a stand a few times just because it's been so busy and the weather's been garbage on the weekends. But there's just food everywhere around here right now. Nuts every step you take. It's like walking on marbles. It's
Yeah,
hard to
it's
pinpoint them when food's that abundant.
white oak. You,
Hmm.
you go for the white oak. White oak's probably not out yet, but they'll pick at what is it, pin oaks and different species of the red oaks. But as soon as the white oak drop, I mean they're centered on white oaks. I know
Thankfully, that's
guys that
where I'm at.
traditionally would just hunt white oak. Yeah, I mean if you know do a little bit of research, search out white oaks, identify the leaves, and I mean you're gonna see deer. You don't know the quality unless you scouted the area, but 100%. As soon as those white oaks come down, they abandon everything else.
That's what's nice about Onyx is one of the layers you can put on shows nut producing trees, and it'll differentiate between red oaks, white oaks, and mixed oaks. So it makes it real nice to kind of e-scout without having to
Yeah,
hike
yeah.
forever.
I mean, the digital scouting's unprecedented.
Yeah.
I mean, it just didn't exist when we started. I mean, you just had to. You had more time then. Back in our day, when you're younger and unattached, it's just you have time to be in the woods and find these honey holes. But I mean, you can walk in an area 10, 20 times and miss it. You really can. It's just, I've missed tiny things that, I see just stumble across just hiking around. And it's just baffled that you miss these things. And different times a year, you find different trails. Sometimes I like um, prepping for elk season, hiking. I found a lot of spots that I've been through in the fall that didn't seem to stand out to me. But the way the trails work, in summer, it's just, I guess, I don't know, more obvious or it's just beat down. In the fall, I feel like with the leaves changing, the leaves falling, you kind of lose some of them trails. But when it's just grass and you see, frequent beat down of grass, that's a high traffic area. So I kind of like the summer scouting for trails. I mean, you got to point and prove the cameras and
Right.
make sure there's actually bucks in there, quality bucks. Because it could be the best spot in the world. It doesn't mean the quality bucks in there. Like we talked about earlier, is this time of year the bucks are in their home range. So if you do find a buck, if I had a nice buck on camera, a target buck, I'd be out hitting it hard in October. But since I don't have a target buck on camera, I'm not going to go out there and just lay center around and blow everything out. I got to wait till target bucks was in. And that's camera and the scout and all that comes in great. As far as between elk season and everything else in life, I don't get much early season scouting and hunting. So I save my time for that end of October, early November, the magic seasons. But it also is when most people are in the woods, during both seasons. So
Hmm.
it's a toss up. But GoPros, we'll get some footage coming. Got some
You gonna have yours with you every day,
got
Andrew?
some t-shirts. This is my favorite. The small racks matter. Don't forget the
Yeah.
small guys, right, Doug?
Right.
No, happy to be back.
Doug wants to make a new shirt that's small nuts are edible.
Trying to
Oh, good.
advertise. Yeah, I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to share some footage. Definitely gonna put a buck down. Definitely gonna put a W down this year. getting it on camera. Just gotta remember to do that so we can share with you guys. And
We should get the GoPro set up when we do the Canon session too.
yeah, I mean that's cool. And that's kind of the best thing about hunting, and that we do a more rifle season or muzzleloader is
Right.
getting together and
Yeah.
doing traditional things like that. It's just it's kind of a dead art. So I haven't canned in years.
Right.
And then we
Did we
just
do it a couple
decided,
years ago? 2 years ago we did
I
this
think it
last
was
time we
2
did it?
years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah. It's just one of those things you know about and you've done and you just kind of lose touch with it. But that's the kind of things that makes hunting great
Mhm.
is getting together, having fun. I mean, we grilled some back straps, had a
Yep.
couple beers, and just canned the crap out of a deer, and it's delicious. I still got a can with me.
Yep.
Stuff lasts
3
forever.
cookers going.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
that's
don't
the
be
way to
a,
do it
Same.
quick.
don't be afraid to come down here and help me do that this fall, fellas.
Yeah.
The hell?
Well, you know how to drive. You know how to drive to New York too.
Can't transport the meat over state lines.
Oh yeah. Who's gonna look?
Yeah.
Who's gonna
Yeah.
look?
Well, all the millions of viewers that watch
Don't,
this.
don't say that to Doug.
They're all moving them back and forth too.
Technically, you can't move the head and the spinal column across state lines.
Right.
You can
Right.
move the meat.
We move the meat.
It's if you see WD is kind of a spinal fluid lift, so spine, brain.
That probably applies to transporting elk heads from multiple states too, I'd imagine, doesn't it?
Yeah, that thing was pretty stinky by the time we got back to it.
Don't wrap an elk head in a garbage bag in 95-degree heat for a week.
It's just dripping out the way through Nebraska.
Pretty rancid with
Yeah.
the time you got back.
Well, that was nice weather. This year was 60s, and then we got snow and rain, and
50s.
we're used to hunting in 70s and 80s, 50s and 60s. I mean, at night I'll take whatever, but during the day it's just water's so abundant, temperature's low, so they don't really need to bed in the deepest, darkest areas either. They do that to get out of the sun, so we're poking around in there, but it's not that hot. It kind of changes things. I think we got a mule deer hunt coming in our future. Another elk hunt.
Them as
Points.
well.
What's that?
I said we got points going for them as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to make the decision whether we do mule deer and get more elk, or do the couple points for elk, and 2 points for 40-50%. I think it's high 40% success rate. I mean, I know it's paper, but honestly, in my opinion, if it's 50% success rate, that's on you. If there's 6 guys, 5 guys, whatever it is, it's on you. Somebody's gonna put one down. It's just getting into bow range. I would say, Pennsylvania public hunts probably 30% success rate to get a nice buck.
I don't even know if it'd be that high.
Yeah, I'm just guessing on the high end, and we're clearly whitetail hunters, but we put a buck down pretty much every year. I mean, damn near every year for the past, I don't know, 5+ years now.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, and we don't shoot 4 points. And
I hope not. You're not allowed in PA.
Unless it gets desperate. In New York, you're allowed to shoot whatever. You don't even have to identify.
Just squeeze.
As long as it's a deer. But yeah, I mean, everything in Colorado this year was rough. The bear population was down. We didn't see bears. We didn't see very many bear signs. The only thing that was up was mule deer. It was just a really rough year. It was a hard lesson to learn, but always a good time being in the mountains. I think everybody should do it, regardless. I mean, it's humbling and it's amazing all at the same time.
Agreed.
Hopefully, by the time we have our next podcast, we'll have plenty of footage out there from the whitetail season here for archery.
Yeah. Get some more T-shirts out.
Yep.
And hats. I'm working on hats.
Oh yeah, get some hats out.
We
do need hats.
Some hats. We need hats.
This Matthew's hat's about shit to bed. I think it's time for a new one anyway. So
looks broken.
Yeah. Doesn't smell broken, but.
All right. So we'll be back soon. It won't be 4 months in between like it has been. So come back soon for you guys and have some updates with hopefully some dead bucks on the camera. So see you
Yeah, I
soon.
think next episode we'll touch base on some new gear that we got. Doug, you got some new Matthews Whitetail stuff. Andrew, you as well.
Mhm.
I think I'm going to pull the trigger on a little bit of that, so we'll do a little bit of review on that. I got my new Vortex Bino harness with some marsupial attachments that I'm going to kind of review. I'm worried about the weight, pistol mount, and everything. But definitely something we need to try out, some gear for guys, and give an honest review on it. What good public land, middle of the road guys think about things.
Yep, that
I got some
includes
new
the.
First Light stuff too.
Yep,
Oh,
Doug
yeah.
and I both picked
Nice.
up the PU proximity jacket, so we can hopefully get that out here as temperatures drop and see how that stuff works.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm tossing between the proximity and what's the other one, the axis there. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's tough because proximity is made for sitting. That's primarily whitetail, and try to go in between, you're just bad at pulls. So we'll see. Give honest reviews because we sit all day. It gets brutal. Western New York, northwestern Pennsylvania is brutal. Winters, second week in November, it gets real. So see you guys then. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.